All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up? We're here with Maddie.
Yo.
What's up?
going on?
All good. So we're checking out the 2024 40th anniversary rig.
Yeah, the new rig.
What's new about it?
Everything. Actually, it's not. It's kind of the same rig. We rewired it.
Right.
The way John used to run his rigs in the old days was he had a mixer, so he had a complete dry signal.
Yes.
And then blended the effects in. It's kind of an old school method of doing it.
Yeah.
We got away from it for a long time because we kind of just kept shrinking the rig down
Yep.
to see how far we could go.
Yeah.
So this time around, he said, I really want to go back to that. So we drew it out on paper and basically just put it together, and then introduced some new old stock.
I was just about looking at this,
Yes,
the
there it
2290.
is. And then, it's always been two heads. It's full stereo, or
Yeah.
you can consider it maybe dual mono if
Yeah.
it's easier to think about
Yeah.
it that way. But the signal flow is pretty simple. So 2 wireless belt packs for
Yep.
each guitar, one for piezo, one for magnetic.
Yes.
Comes into the wireless receiver here, 4 channels. Odd channels are piezos, even channels are magnetics. And then we have this new device from Mark L. Custom in Poland that he built for us. It's an input switcher. So we used to have this old Framtone AB box, and it was just all passive, and it worked for decades. But I thought it'd be cool to have something kind of new and easier to use.
Yeah.
So Mark came up with this. This is the first version. There was a second version that's now being revised again. So eventually we'll get to the final thing. But this is working for what it is. But it's cool. So I just switched between strap 1, which is the blue strap.
Yep.
That I tell by the thread on the stitching.
Okay.
Or the red strap. So that switches the guitars. And then the cool thing about it is there's 2 tuner outputs. There's a tuner output for whichever guitar is active. So John can be off stage tuning before the show or during a break. There's a second tuner output on the non-active output. So I can just plug in the guitar and tune here.
Throughout
and
the song.
Unplug the wireless and plug in a cable and whatever. So after the input splitter, we'll do the piezo side because that's pretty simple. It comes out of the piezo output, and it goes to a radial DI box, and it feeds the consoles, and they put their reverb and processing on it, and that's it. That's what you hear in the house.
It's direct, basically.
Pretty much,
yeah.
The magnetic side, we come out of the switcher, we hit the rack wah, like we always have.
Yeah.
Out of the rack wah, we hit now the RJM Effects Gizmo switcher, because we've added pedals and functionality. So now I'm using the RJM, the rack switcher for everything. So we have the first pedal drawer here. And this is loops 1 through 7. So loop 1 compressor, loop 2 is overdrive. Currently it's the Fortin Maxon overdrive. We have the California Girls pedal by Keeley, and this is like a 12-string simulation that we use for Octavarium.
Yep.
We have the Dreamscape, which is always set to the flanger, the jet flanger, unchained kind of thing. MXR EVH Phase 90, which is set on script logo. I mean, that's the classic Phase 90 setting.
Yeah.
So no need to change it there. Dimension C on setting 3. This is a great modulation pedal. And then we have the Viscous Vibe, which is set to a vibrato setting. So we use it kind of like a Leslie effect.
Oh, okay.
Right? Now, here's where it gets special and kind of funky. So during the recording of the new record, whenever John tracks a guitar, and he wants to do a front end effect like a chorus or a phaser or something like that, it goes in line in front of the amp. So he tracks with the effect on, right? It's not added later.
Yes.
So when he double tracks, we just repeat the process. So he said, I want to use a chorus pedal. Do we have like an MXR chorus pedal?
Yep.
I said, yeah, sure. And all we had was the old stereo yellow chorus pedal, right? So just plug it in mono, and it set everything to new, and it sounded great. And then when you double track, you get that little bit of play in the modulations because it's not lined up, right? So one day I was building this, and he goes, hey, do you think we could do that with the chorus pedals in the new rig, like to emulate it live?
Yeah.
And I said, sure. So here we are. We have 2 MXR stereo chorus pedals, and this is what creates the stereo split now in front of the amps.
Okay.
So I come out of loop 7 of the switcher into loop 8 and do a stereo split internally in the switcher.
Okay.
Feed the 2 chorus pedals, inputs separately, then the 2 outputs go back to the switcher and then it sends out stereo to the
Okay.
amp. So that's where you get your 2 independent amplifier inputs. So after the chorus pedals, we go to the JP2Cs, of course. Tried and true. I mean, they just kick ass. We did a carbon fiber front panel this time, just to kind of make it a little more industrial. And then out of the effects loops end of the 2 JP2Cs, I come into loop 9 of their. Actually, I'm sorry. Come into the mixer first. Mix 1 input, and then that's the dry signal. So that feeds back.
All right.
Just dry. Then
So the main rhythm signal is like it's completely dry.
Completely dry.
Yeah.
And then
cool.
the effects are blended on top on the other half of the mixer.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So loop 9 feeds the old 2290, which is doing when he's playing just a crunch sound. It does that 7 millisecond split that he's always done. When he goes to the chorus sound, it's his preset number 1 famous chorus that he's used forever and ever. And then there's also a flanger setting that we use on a clean sound.
Okay.
Which is kind of a cool thing. So all the modulation is being done by the 2290.
Yeah.
Right. And then loop 10, which is always on, is the Axe Effects input.
Yeah.
That's doing all the different delays, harmonizer, anything like that. And I can show you the. So ignore the bottom line because that was a piezo chain that we did on the last tour. But basically, it just comes in, and then all the effects are stacked in parallel.
Okay.
And then it feeds out to the mixer. And then loop 11 and 12, we go back to this drawer. And of course, we decided to try out the 2290 pedal, which we're not really using. It's just kind of there as a backup if the rack unit goes down. And then we put in the EVH SDE 3000, which is an awesome delay unit. Still trying to kind of work it into the system, but it sounds great and it's amazing. So, and then we've got my little TechWork Instruments splitter boxes. So what that does is when you're running stereo out of a loop switcher, it's a TRS cable. Okay. Right. So you have to split it somewhere to make it, to feed the 2 inputs. So I just use these to send it TRS and then split out TS to the inputs and outputs. Yeah. So. And then, that's it. And then the cabinets, which are back behind us here, just 2 Recto traditional 412s. And they get mic'd up with a SE VR2 ribbon mic, and they have the reflection filter. Yeah. And it's insanely loud and powerful. And
hell yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, that's the rig in a nutshell. RJM Mastermind GT22s. That's, I think one of, not with this rig, but one of the rigs I have like the 3rd one ever built or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So we've been using these a long time. They're great. And the cool thing is you can program the set list in. Yeah. So we won't go too far.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe somebody hasn't seen it yet. And then the other 2 amps are that's a backup rig. Yep. Backup Axe Effects. And then that's pretty much it. And then a whole boatload of guitars. 20 guitars. Although some of them I had to just preload for later on in the year because the gear wasn't going to be home. But, we got a couple of 8 strings, some baritones.
You had the new one, the 10th?
Yeah.
Did you bring that?
Yeah.
I mean, since it's the newest one.
This is the one.
Hell yeah. There you go.
This is the first one. So.
Dude, those pickups are
it's crazy, right?
That's cool when DiMarzio does that. They did it with the Pia Steve I as well. Looks great.
Yeah, they sure did. It's got the JP on the 1st fret and the Majesty logo across the 12th fret. And the cool thing is it's got the lumen,
side dots,
the side dots that glow in the dark a little bit. I don't know if you can see them, but it's a cool guitar.
Oh, it's great.
You know.
Did I tell you I bought a because you made a comment last time? They're like, oh, you don't have Majesty.
Did you get one?
I got one like 1 month ago. I was like, nice. I have to get one. If he's coming back, I have to get one. So I got one.
Nice. Yeah. The favorite is still the Purple Nebula.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That. You showed that to me last time. Yeah.
This has been the workhorse for a while.
Yeah.
Does pretty much all the recording with this one, and and then we've got one of the Tiger Eyes, which is I haven't unbolted these yet, but we've got a 20th anniversary JP6 that we use for one song, Drop D, and Yeah, of course the baritones, 7 strings. We were in rehearsals and he goes, I think this song on a 7-string really should be a JP7 7-string. Do we have one? And I said, yeah. And he goes, yeah, do we have one in black? And I went, no. And he goes, can we get one? So, the guys at Music Man somehow or another got this together almost overnight and sent it to us. So, yeah, it's a great.
Oh, it's great.
It sounds just really mean, for the mirror.
Yep.
So, yeah. And then, what else cool we got floating around in here? We've got, unlock this. The baritone.
Yep.
So these have been around.
Is that for like Panic Attack?
Panic Attack, yeah, it's B flat. And then we have another set of baritone. We have 4 of these, and the other set is tuned to A for these walls. That's what I used to use it on. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
So with the guitars, there's a main and a backup for every tuning.
Yeah.
And then what else do we have new? We've got the red ink, or the red nebula. Sorry, red ink, red nebula, which is pretty cool. So this is starting to get worked in a little bit now.
Yeah.
We get out here and start a tour. He's kind of like he just gravitates towards the stuff that just feels really good that he's been using for a while, and then we'll start working the new ones in. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It's free, and they send them with a signed back clip.
Of course.
No vanity or anything.
No.
That's the way they go. So.
Oh, thank you so much, man.
Yeah.